Kanye West just pulled out of a Maybach, and he is now in the building. Okay, Mel got it all on tape. Okay, so Kanye's gonna be in there by the time we come back. All right, so I'm here for that. But so meantime, in between time, so we had the first witness come out this morning, and that was a special agent who actually was part of the people who conducted the raid by Homeland Security into the Diddlers' homes. Okay, so he basically, now here's the thing, before the witness got up to testify, Mr. Agnifilo was talking about maybe his testimony was going to be irrelevant because he found out right before the testimony that in fact this agent didn't know whether or not the guns that were found on Diddy's premises were inside of a security room in a secured area. Now, he thought that was very important because he didn't want the jury to get the impression that there was all these guns just laid out everywhere. So he was asking, the judge basically, he's like, if this man doesn't even know if the guns were secured, he doesn't know where they were, if they were in a security room, because Diddy actually, which I didn't know this, but Diddy supposedly had his own licensed security company, okay? And they actually had a security room for all weapons and things in his home. So he wanted to make that abundantly clear to the jurors so they wouldn't think that these guns are just laying out everywhere like there's some gangsters or whatever. And so the judge asked him, why didn't he bring this argument up before? But he says he didn't know before. He had no idea that the agent that was going to testify didn't actually know if the guns were secured or where they exactly were in the house. He went on and on about it. He made a very big deal about it. And he was very adamant that that was important. And if they weren't going to be able to present that evidence to the court, then he felt the testimony should not be allowed because it would then be irrelevant but also prejudicial. He felt like it would be a violation of Rule 403, which I told you all about Rule 403 yesterday, which is basically a rule. It's a 403 objection where the person can, they object, and then the judge can exclusively decide whether or not this information is going to be entered into evidence. Even if it has probative value, it may also have cumulative value, and then it also could be prejudicial for the defendant. But the judge let it in. So nonetheless, the judge basically said that Mr. Agnifilo was probably going to sit there and constantly object every time the man said something because he wasn't going to, like the way the testimony was going if the man wasn't saying that these guns were secured. He doesn't want the jury to get the wrong idea or the misperception. But so anyway, the good news is that when the man got on the stage, okay, when the agent got on the stage, he did in fact say that the weapons were secured. They were in a security room. He said that twice. When he talked about the policy or the procedure when they're collecting this evidence, he did say that they take photos of where the items are. Okay, so they did take pictures of it supposedly in the security room. Now, what he didn't know is whether or not the security cabinet where the guns were stored was locked, because he said once he arrived on scene, they were open. Okay, it was open, and it could have been opened by the agents. He did say that they have a locksmith on deck, but the locksmith, to his knowledge, had not been in there to open it. So maybe they jimmied it open themselves, or it could have already been opened. He wasn't sure. But nonetheless, his testimony was good enough for Mr. Agnifilo because he basically said all the guns were, in fact, in a security room. Now, with that all being said, y'all, Kanye West is in the house. Kanye West is in the building, okay? Like I said, just got word. Mel was sitting here. He recorded it all. He has the footage. He said Kanye pulled up in a Maybach, got out, and he's in the building. So I will be seeing him when I get back in court because I made it into the main room, honey. Y'all know I ain't trying to go in the overflow room because you can't do nothing but watch stuff on the screen at the end of the day, and it's boring. So, honey, I got here at 5:15 and I was still late. But I had to pay my way up to the front, and that's what I did, okay? Please pay attention. Do you know how mad I would have been if I missed Kanye? But let me continue. So with that all being said, now, one of the things that they wanted to make sure also, they said, well, this is another thing Mr. Agnifilo was complaining about. He said when they arrived on the scene, that's the agents, HSI agents, he said they knew Diddy wasn't there and only his sons were there. And he talked about how people were handcuffed and things were not properly documented as far as he was concerned, okay? And so the judge said, there was no relevance to him saying anything about people being handcuffed. Because here's the thing, what Mr. Agnifilo needs to realize, and I'm sure he knows this, but when the agents raided Diddy's properties, they didn't even know whose properties it was. If you all remember me telling you that, they purposely didn't tell the agents on the ground whose residence they were going to raid until they got there because they didn't want anybody to tip the diddler off. Now, that's interesting, right? Because that lets us know that somebody, okay, that works for the feds knows Diddy and maybe was possibly going to tell him something. Now, let's not forget the paperwork that I showed you from 1995 where it said that the dealer was allegedly working for an agent by the name of Mark Parody, P-A-R-I-D-Y. Y'all remember that? But anyway, but here's the thing. They also made an argument right before we came out here on the break, and this is Maureen Comey. She complained to the judge. Now, remember I told you guys that the judge had went in on Diddy basically a couple of weeks ago, told him not to be looking at the jurors, nodding his head and all of that, or whatever, giving eye contact and nodding his head. So Maureen Comey stands up right before the break, and she's complaining. She said that she can't see Mr. Combs because he's behind her, but her colleagues have told her that he's constantly nodding vigorously to the not to the jury, but when his defense attorneys are cross-examining, and even when she was cross-examining Jane Doe. And so she doesn't want him nodding his head or whatever. I'm like, dang, the man can't move his head? Like, he's supposed to literally sit there and be still? Now, first they said he was nodding to the jury, but listen, I told you guys that a reporter said that he was actually nodding at his attorneys. So now they're saying she doesn't want him nodding at his attorneys. So the judge basically told her, said, listen, well, Mr. Bryan still stood up and said that Diddy was not, as far as he knows, he said he's sitting right there by Diddy, he's keeping an eye on him, and as far as he knows, he's not seeing Diddy nodding at the jurors or nodding, at the attorneys or anybody, and he's being very professional, is what he said. Now, when he comes in the courtroom, when they first bring him in around 8:30, he does nod at the people as we're coming in. He does smile and wave at some of us. But I haven't seen him nodding at the jury or nodding at his attorneys. I'm not saying that he isn't doing it, but the bottom line is the judge didn't seem to be so pressed about him nodding at his attorneys. He said there's going to be some reaction. We can't sit there and just basically police, and I'm paraphrasing, every movement that the man makes. He said as long as he and his attorneys know that he should not be nodding or making facial expressions at the jurors, then that's fine. If there's anything inappropriate other than that, just to let him know. But I'm going to run, you guys, because listen, I'm going to come back at lunch. We're probably going to go to lunch at about 12:30. So I'll be back out here. So that's like another hour. So I'll be back out here. I'm going to cut this video short. I just wanted to come out here and give you all a brief update on the goings on of this morning. We're just getting into it. We just had our first witness. The next person coming on the stand, he's already been sworn in right before I ran out here. And that is Jonathan Perez, the former Diddy assistant, who in fact was working for Diddy while he was dating Jane Doe. From 2021 to 2024. And honey, he looks like he's coming in there. He looks like he didn't come to play, okay? He came sashaying in there, honey. He looks like he's about to drop the receipts. So I'm anxious to hear what he has to say. I think it's going to be a good day. Matter of fact, I know it's going to be a good day because Kanye West is here. I just want y'all to pay attention, okay? I want y'all to pay attention. So I have to go and see what Kanye is going to be doing in here, okay? Is he wearing a free Diddy t-shirt? That's another thing. I heard that all those free puff t-shirts, they said Kanye's the one who supplied those. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but they did say that Kanye West is one supplying those people. Remember when all the people were standing out here on the streets with the free puff shirts? They said Kanye's the one who bought those. I wonder if he's the one that was also paying them supposedly the $20 an hour. But anyway, he's supporting Diddy. And they also said that he adopted Diddy's sons or something like that. So he's definitely a diehard Diddy fan, okay, I guess. I mean, not a fan, but a supporter, okay? All the other people that were at Diddy's parties and all that and laughing and smiling with him, they're nowhere to be found, okay? They're nowhere to be found, but Kanye is standing right there 10 toes down for his friend, honey. Please pay attention. Let's not forget how Jay-Z distanced himself and said he don't know Diddy like that, okay? He said him and Diddy are not friends, honey. Jay-Z said, I ain't got time for this, okay? He said, I don't have time for it. Okay? Zara said, how you adopt grown kids? Honey, that's what I'm trying to figure out, okay? When you find out, beloved, let me know, okay? Because I have several questions. All right? With that all been said, listen, I love you all to life. I hope you all enjoy the rest of the day. Now, don't forget to like and share this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Okay? Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Okay, Pretty Wing said, what if Kanye has an outburst? Well, I tell you what, if Kanye does have an outburst, I will run out here as quick as I can to make sure that I'm one of the first ones to report it. How about that? Okay? So anyway, I love you all to life, and I will talk to you on the next break. Okay? Until next time, beloveds. Peace.